All right, in this series of videos, we're going to start learning how to use the Bootstrap web framework, largely CSS framework. And in this video, we're just going to talk about how to get started with Bootstrap and some really basic concepts. So I'm in the Bootstrap documentation at getbootstrap.com, and I'm in the getting started section. So the easiest way to start using Bootstrap is to use their starter template right here. And I've gone ahead and copied this into a project for us to use. So a couple things to understand about what Bootstrap is, what Bootstrap works, is the main thing is a CSS file. Okay, so we're loading this file from another server. We're using an absolute URL, so this is always going to load this CSS file. There's a JavaScript file at the bottom of the template. We never want to touch that, and we just always want it to be there. That makes some interactive things work. Okay, the other thing to understand is that we're going to have two style sheets, and we're going to have one of our own style sheets here. So first we're going to load the Bootstrap style sheet, and then we're going to load our style sheet. And I want to take a look at why we do that. So I'm going to do sort of the most basic thing we can and make a page title and load this. And then I'm going to inspect this page title. This isn't how we're going to start working later when we get to later lessons, but for now we're just looking. So when I inspect this H1, I'm going to see that it has some styles applied to it from that Bootstrap style sheet that I loaded. Okay, this doesn't look exactly like a H1 looks. It has some styles applied to it, okay, and those are these styles. Same as if I add a UL, it's going to look slightly different than other ULs. So we're making a quick UL here, and we'll see that this is default Bootstrap style. It looks a little nicer than things usually do before we style them. So with Bootstrap, we're getting a lot of default styles, and then we're going to be overriding styles. So that's where our style sheet comes in, okay? So in our style sheet, let's say that this is all fine, but we want our H1s to be a light gray color. If I write a rule that finds all the H1s on the page and sets the color to a light gray, now we'll inspect the page and see that my rule for the color of an H1 is overriding any rule that was already applied to that H1 by the Bootstrap style sheet, okay? And similarly, if I wanted to override something like this font size, let's set it to something really big. Okay, we'll see now that font size here has been overridden, it's crossed out, and my font size is taking precedence. So that's what we need to understand about Bootstrap, is that it's a set of styles that are applied by default that give us a really good starting place, and then our CSS file, which comes after the Bootstrap CSS file, will overwrite as needed. Okay, so your really quick assignment right now is find the Bootstrap starter that you've been provided, remix it so that you have one to play with, and then I want you to write some very basic HTML inside the body, write an H1, a paragraph, something like that. Then I want you to come and inspect it, look at the default styles, and then write some simple style rules that overwrite those and go back and inspect and understand how that works. So pause the video, do that, and then the next video we're going to get to the Bootstrap grid system, which is really the heart of why we use Bootstrap.